Hi, my name is Brittany and I am 28 years old, and this last October 2016, I found out that my body was making a monoclonal clone or a monoclonal protein. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand anything about monoclonal proteins or what it could mean for me. I didn't even know what multiple myeloma was or myeloma at all. I didn't know it was one of the larger, more frequent, I guess one of the cancers that happen more frequently, especially in the older population, one of the more prevalent blood cancers. I knew nothing about any of it. When I found out that my body was making this protein, I was kind of scared. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. I took to the internet and was trying to learn as much as I could. I read studies. I understood, all the types of plasma cell dyscrasias that come from M protein. I knew it wasn't necessarily multiple myeloma, but I still didn't know what it meant for me. I also knew not to kind of jump to any conclusions because I didn't really know what all it could be and what it meant. However, I did also understand that it wasn't something good and it wasn't something to just brush off. The person who found my monoclonal gammopathy was a rheumatologist who, when he contacted me about all my lab results, he told me it wasn't a big deal and he brushed it off. However, my referring physician that referred me to this rheumatologist in the first place used to be a hematologist, and he knew better, and he ran more tests as well and determined this was something to see a oncologist, hematologist oncologist for. So he sent me off to see an oncologist, but from the time it was found to the time I was sent to an oncologist, it was 6 months. And so many different tests done, and I think the biggest obstacle I found in being only 28 with a monoclonal gammopathy was how rare it was. And most doctors didn't want to think it was what it was, and they didn't want to think that that was correct. I think that's why it was such a delayed amount of time between when it was found and when I was sent to an oncologist. However, I could be wrong. Another problem I have found since finding this protein is finding other people who have it as well. No one I know in my world that I know personally knew anything about this as well, and have not experienced anything regarding M protein or multiple myeloma or smoldering myeloma or any of the related plasma cell dyscrasias. So this is why I'm making this video. For any young person who just found out they too have MGUS or a monoclonal gammopathy and their doctor isn't quite sure what to call it yet, my oncologist didn't say, yes, it's MGUS. She just said, it's not multiple myeloma. It's not myeloma yet. It's just a small amount of protein. But in those 6 months before seeing her, I've had several tests done, and my tests were up and down and crazy in this time. My blood counts were crazy. What led to seeing the rheumatologist was I was having a lot of symptoms. And the one thing you see a lot from doctors regarding MGUS is it should be asymptomatic. However, what led me to get the diagnosis was I was very symptomatic. I was having numbness, which I've been having numbness for a few years now, and peripheral neuropathy usually affects your hands and feet, which was something I was experiencing. But I also my right ear has been numb for almost 2 years now. I have pain on the sides of my head and numbness, random numbness in my head. I have a lot of symptoms, and doctors have not found anything wrong with me outside of some hypermobility and some genetic stuff. They haven't found anything that could be attributed to some of the neuropathy and other issues I've been having. The only thing wrong with me is the MGUS. And that to me shows me, and I've seen with other message boards through Myeloma Beacon and some other myeloma related message boards, that there are some people who have symptoms with MGUS. It does happen, and I've actually scoured the internet, and there's some doctors who even say that is possible as well. So it kind of validates what I'm going through, because as I've said, you know, it's been years since, and I'll make another video regarding all of the symptoms I've had and my progression towards getting my diagnosis and everything that has happened. I spent 2 straight years sick. My blood counts were way off. Everything was just really, really off with my body. And all these years, and all they have found, other than the hypermobility stuff, is MGUS, or the monoclonal gammopathy. So here I am at 28 with a disease that can progress to multiple myeloma, POEM syndrome, amyloidosis. I have IgG Lambda type, which I know is kind of good, especially when they're thinking of high risk factors. I think, I may be wrong, if I am, somebody correct me. I believe if you're IgA or IgM, you're put on a higher risk for progression than an IgG. But right now I am IgG Lambda. I only have one cell that's cloning itself. I don't have multiple clonal cells. I know some people may have IgG, IgA, you know, or a Lambda Kappa type of clonal thing going on. I do not, as far as I know. However, I do have high Kappa in my free light assay, so I'm not sure. Maybe that could mean if I do progress, I may progress to amyloidosis or something. However, right now there is no end organ damage. My skeletal system's good. From what I understand from previous x-rays I've had, you know, my spine's in great shape for the most part, especially my lumbar spine. I am pretty close to 6 feet tall, and people who are tall may attest to this. You get a lot of joint issues and back issues and degenerative disease. I do not. So I'm lucky in that regard, and I know a lot of people who also have MGUS tend to have issues with osteoporosis. I do not have any issues with osteoporosis or any degenerative things going on with my joints, as far as I can see and what I've known from the x-rays and getting results back. I did have a sonogram of my heart because I have a history of fainting, standing up, and then my vision goes black, things like that. They did not find any amyloid deposits in my heart, no thickening, it's working well, so that is just something I grew up with. So I kind of figured it wasn't amyloidosis, but they just wanted to be sure. So it's been a journey. It's been hard finding information or other people who have MGUS, especially younger people, and I'm not saying that to kind of be discriminatory towards older folks. However, a lot of the information I see for anything regarding the M protein and monoclonal gammopathies, they're all for people who are 40 and older. I have yet to see a YouTube video from a younger person about this, and I've read a couple things on Myeloma Beacon and some forums from younger people, but I haven't really seen a lot of information, and it is very isolating and confusing and hard, as far as you know, being the only one, or the only one that you can actually see. So this is why I made this video. And if you are struggling with your recent diagnosis, or if you have a similar diagnosis or have dealt with this diagnosis, I want to hear from you. What are your experiences? Do you have symptoms as well? What support groups do you use so I can check them out myself? Anything you can give me as someone who is relatively new to the diagnosis and monoclonal gammopathies and myeloma related diseases, that would be great. And I plan on making more videos just sharing my story. So next time someone who finds out they have this, they can find my video and see with their eyes a face and a story and a name, and hopefully then they feel for a moment, even though it's very trivial seeing a video, they at least know for a moment that they're not alone, and then they're not suffering alone, and that there's other people who are alive and well, and they're not crazy. They have symptoms too, and it happens, and let's support each other. So thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for taking interest, and please comment if you have any advice for me, because I would love, 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 love more information and a community to reach out to. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.